Hi you guys, so today's video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to pretty much sew in your U-part wigs. I've been doing this for I want to say about 5-6 months, and I use this method every time I do sew in my U-part wigs. It's going to be quick, simple. I'm going to make this as easy as possible. So if you would like to know how I sew it in, please keep watching. So I already have my leave out right here, and you want to make sure that when you create your leave out that your wig fits your leave out part, because you don't want to obviously make your wig not fit, because I've had that happen to me. So just make sure that your U-part wig fits your leave out part. Make sure you like triple check that, because again, like I said, I made that mistake before. You do not want that to happen. The next step I'm gonna do is I leave a little bit of my edges out, so I'm just gonna take like a tiny portion for my edges, like a tiny portion. You don't have to do this obviously, but I do it because I don't, just in case the wind blows up, there is something there to cover my tracks. Braiding, put moisturizer in my hair, and the reason why I do this is because when the braids are braided underneath my wig, I want to make sure that they're moisturized and not dry, they're not brittle. Okay, so the next step is you're going to want to make an anchor braid, and what an anchor braid is it's the braid that is going to be sewed onto. So when you sew in your U-part wig, that's the braid that's going to be sewed onto. You don't want to make it too thin, but you don't want to make it too thick either. So I'm just going to part that really quick. This anchor braid, you want to make sure it's super tight when you braid it as well. I end my braids with rubber bands so that it does not come loose under my hair, because that would be really bad. So I end it with rubber bands. You guys don't have to do that method, but I highly suggest that you just make sure that your ends will not come loose. This is the first braid. Again, this is the anchor braid. I'm gonna end up putting it back here, so don't worry about it dangling right here for right now. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Some rubber bands again. So for the rest of the braids, they don't have to be perfect. Don't make them too chunky, but they don't have to be perfect at all. They don't have to be tiny like this. I think I usually do like 4 to 5, and that's it. I don't do anything crazy. Just make sure that it is as flat as possible. You want to make sure that it is as flat as possible. going to take just like one side of the braids, and you're just gonna plait them together. That's all you're gonna do, is plait them together. And I usually end it off with another rubber band at the end. So just make sure that these braids are plaited together. Go to the other side and make sure that the anchor braid is behind the ear, and then you're going to plait again. Plait all the braids together. Once you have the two braids, you're actually just gonna sew them up to make sure that they are sewn up. You don't want them hanging down, of course. There's different ways you can sew it. I usually just do an X. So I'm just gonna start threading that, or just sewing it up really quick. It shouldn't take that long. Done sewing our braids up and everything is flat and neat, you can go ahead and start stringing your threaded needles. The beautiful thing about U-part wigs is you only need up to maybe 4 or 5 depending on how long you string them. Sometimes I only have to use 2 or 3, so make sure you string those needles so you don't have to stop, pause, and keep going back. Just kind of string them beforehand so everything will be like a one-step process. So all you're gonna do is literally, like, move this in for you guys a little bit closer so you can see. You're gonna go underneath. You're not gonna go like on top of it. You're gonna go underneath the braid and just kind of loop that through. Pull that all the way through. Don't ever just do it one time. I'm gonna do it again and just pull it through. Make sure it's as tight as possible, and then we're gonna move on to the next cornrow. Make sure it's up as much as possible to where your leave out's gonna be. So I'm gonna go underneath that, wrap the thread around. I'm just gonna pull that through. Okay, I'm gonna go underneath another cornrow. Underneath that, pull it through. Once you get to the last braid, just slide it up as much as possible. Again, go underneath the braid. Sorry y'all, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my mirror. Go through the braid, through the U-part wig, pull it through the string. And make sure it's as tight as possible. Close as possible. Now we are moving on to sewing in the sides of the U-part wig. So what you want to do is you kind of just want to tie up your wig and your hair. So now what you're going to do is start sewing in the sides of your U-part wig. As you can see, that's what the anchor braids are for. That's what we braided them for. We're going to pull them up and just sew it right on that anchor braid. It's very repetitive, so just keep sewing along this anchor braid. And make sure you're pulling it up as much as possible, because we want to make sure that this wig feels super tight on not necessarily our heads. We want to make sure the wig is not loose. Okay, now we're moving on to the back of the wig to be sewed onto. So I'm just going to show you guys how I do that. You're pretty much just going to loop it through the back, and you're just going to keep looping it through, and it becomes very, very repetitive. Up this last anchor braid, and we're going to finish sewing it in, and then we'll finally be done. So let's just finish this last anchor braid. With those knots, just go back in and just be careful and cut them. Okay, and as you can see, it blends perfectly over the U-part wig. It is flat, it is ready to go. Of course, I have to straighten and blend my hair, but that is all for this video, you guys. If you want to see how I blend my natural hair with this wig, stay tuned for my next video and watch part 2 of this video. I hope you guys really got something from this video. I know that U-part wigs are very simple and it saves you a lot of money, and it's also nice to be able to sew it in yourself. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact me at my Instagram at Clare Abrianna, or go to my website www.clareabrianna.com, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.